This year's tournament is a little bit different than years in past, just a little bit emptier. As I'm sure you know, we lost one of our brothers, Sumith, from the Detroit church. Courageously lost his life trying to save a friend. To speak a little bit more about him, I invite Shane Thomas, one of the captains from the Detroit church.
Morning, guys. It's really hard for me to want to just be here on this field and talk about Sumith. Never have I ever thought that I'd be back on this field to speak about a man who truly lived life to its fullest. Sumith was an athlete. I mean, we played with you guys from 2014 to 2016, and we're so privileged to be a part of this community, you know, to be able to travel from Detroit to come to Chicago and play with fellow believers in Christ. I remember when we first started, Sumith and I would be talking daily, weekly, about this tournament and how much we were preparing for it, strategizing, scheming. Sumith's heart was all about sports, and he was just a competitor. He was unstoppable. He was one of our top receivers, our go-to guy. In basketball, he was one of the best three-point shooters, one of the most dominant guys on the court. But he truly was a man that lived in his actions through his words. He was never one who talked big about himself or talked trash or anything. He let his actions speak more. And as dominant he was, especially in Detroit and all those sports and things, he never let that get to his head. He was all about making other people better and playing for the team. It's really hard right now just to think about what to say. I know it's got to be short, but Sumith was a guy that I really was a role model to me. I looked up to. I wanted to be just like him. I remember growing up, and he always wore Adidas, and so I tried changing all my apparel just to look like him because everything about him just resonated of what a man of God was all about. His act of heroism is just unfathomable. You don't think about someone that would go out and save not really a friend, someone who he had never known. He just saw someone out drowning in a river, and he jumped in and tried to save. And that act of heroism is a culmination of what his life was all about. He lived for others. He lived for the community. He cherished brotherhood. One of those things that I remember was, a couple years ago we were playing in the tournament and we were on the defense, and there was a long Hail Mary thrown and the ball was incomplete and the ball was so far away, and so I wasn't planning on going and getting that ball because usually the offense will go get their own ball and bring it back to the spot. And so I was just looking at Sumit and I was just like, all right, let me just use some time to rest. And then Sumit yelled at me. He was like, go get that ball, team sportsmanship. And so that right there showed me that, while we loved MFL, we loved these tournaments, he cared so much more about honoring Christ and loving his brothers so much more. And so I'm honored and privileged to stand here before you guys in a cloud of red because you guys are honoring him. And I just hope that, as you guys compete today, and I know hardware is amazing to try to achieve for, but what's so much more important in this tournament is the fellowship and the brotherhood. And so I hope that you guys continue to remind yourselves, especially when times get really tough and you get into the game and you're like all about the competition, that you're reminding yourself we are all men of God and we're living a life here to proclaim his name and carry out the mission that he has for us. So I just want to thank you guys for, taking this day to really commemorate and honor him. A couple of the guys from Detroit were able to come out here and just to be supported and loved by you guys, so really thank you for that. I also wanted to share um, with from what Jana had to speak, and this is Sumit's wife, and they had just been married last week actually. We didn't play last year because he was getting married, and we were planning to play the week after, but knowing that he wasn't able to play, we didn't want to play. And even for this year, back in February, we were planning to compete for this year, and then I remember in February, Sumith was telling me, he wasn't going to be able to compete today because he had promised that he was going to go with his wife to do a mission before their first year anniversary. And so last week, the mission is going on. It's a mission trip out to Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And again, because he wasn't planning on playing, I don't think I was planning on even motivated to want to make a team for this year. And so we thought we'd be coming back next year. But on behalf of Jana, I think she wanted me to share with you guys this, and this is what she has to say. Dear MFL family, for years, Sumith awaited the MFL tournament. As a devout athlete, my husband loved the craft, challenge, and competition of game day. Even more, however, he loved the camaraderie he developed. From the depths of my heart, thank you for being brothers in fellowship with my husband. At the end of the day, you have always been one team. Now Sumith, my dear husband, fought the good fight, finished the race, and has kept the faith. 2 Timothy 4:7. Teammates of my husband, which is all you guys, not just the DMTC Fire, it's all you guys. Please know your deep impact on and off the field, and not merely of flag football, but of fellowship, and continue your precious race faithfully. On behalf of Sumith, who is watching you play from above, and myself, thank you again. So, with that, we thank you guys again for celebrating his life and taking this day to really highlight him and what he's done. He knew quite a lot of you guys, and he talked about you guys, and was always looking forward to coming back and reconnecting. But we're all going to be able to rejoice, and when we get to see him in paradise, and forever in eternity with our Father. So, on behalf again of our Detroit team, on behalf of Jana, on behalf of Sumit's immediate family and his cousins and everyone from the Detroit community, we thank you again. We wish you all best of luck, safety of course, and continue to live your lives for Christ, not just on this field but off the field. Thank you.